a great new premium offering we have from our bets guy, Keg. He has been crushing it so much with his live betting streams that we decided to spin off his Keg Cats into a premium feature.
The first 5 shows, we were profitable all 5 shows. The show was up like 15 units about, and, I crush.
Subscribe today for just $10 a week and gain access to all of Keg's live betting streams covering tons of sports, including the NFL playoffs, MMA betting every week, PGA, March Madness, the NBA, and NASCAR. Last season, Keg and the crew crushed in NASCAR with cashes in over 30 races for well over 130 units of live profit.
Put it on the boy for your boy Keg to get Blaney home at 14-1. Put it on the board for your guy Keg to get that Larson top 5 plus 105 home. Let's go!
Learn how to live bet and tail Keg and his crew with this amazing subscription offering. Also included is access into an exclusive Discord channel reserved for Keg's subscribers. Last reminder that it's only $10 a week, so get on board today with Keg and keep running pure.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood Show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with Hoop, and it's Friday. We're here with JT Hayes, and not your typical JT Hayes. He is on the road. So, JT, you got to go first. You got to tell us what is going on. Maybe you got a telescope there. You're spending some time with the lady. I don't know what's going on. Let us know. Let the people know what's going on with your Friday night and where you're at.
Yeah, I'm in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. It was a scary incident. A RPS member was kidnapped, so we had to send in the flight team, and we were able to get him out. We're not sure if we're going to save him or not because it's one of our more troublesome guys, but still excited about this slate. I don't know about you, Mangone, but there's some injury news. There is some news that we're waiting on, and as I said on Monday's show, it's the type of slate that creates demand for a certain product. That product is the charts, and we haven't seen charts, Mangone. When's the last time you've seen a chart?
Listen, I gave it a look because, Falik, he likes to make sure everyone else is on their game at Run Pure Sports. He's always checking the chats, making sure everyone's doing their jobs. I haven't seen a chart since that Warriors chart on February 1st. And how useful is a Warriors chart, if we're being honest, JT?
Yeah. You talk about one of the least useful charts. It's not as utterly useless as a fucking Spurs chart. I mean, what a fun night Spurs chalk night was. But listen, before we get into this, you've got to do a couple of things. One, you've got to hit the like button. You've got to hit the subscribe button. And you've got to both DM and @KFalik in the Discord, the NBA Discord. Actually, whatever Discord you find him, if he's in soccer, if he's in MLB talking about the lockout, go ahead and add him. Ask for the charts. It's Friday. There are injuries. Big slate. We need the fucking charts.
Yes, we need the charts. Charts with as many Z's as you would like. Feel free to add those on. Hoop, we'll head on over to you. JT's in the nation's capital. He's doing some great work there for Run Pure here. What are you up to? How is your Friday, Hoop?
Oh, my Friday just got a lot better. As I put on Twitter, like a Friday afternoon spent with JT Hayes hits a little differently. I mean, it really does. It brightens your day. It gets you on track. Locked in for the slate now, feeling good. In terms of the charts, I mean, I don't know. We might have to reconsider our career path here. I mean, the water filtration industry must just be absolutely booming. I mean, no charts. KFAL's got to be printing with this water filtration thing. I might start doing some research to make the change here, make it official. I mean, if he doesn't have time for the charts, I mean, can't imagine what's going on in that water filtration industry.
I mean, business must be booming over there for old K League. He's in the soccer chat though, having fun. I see him in the golf chat. I mean, he's having a good time. We got some golf sweats, Hoop. How's the golf going for you? I saw, we were both on Tringale, and he kicked off the day with like 3 or 4 birdies and then just like tanked back with them. So that's the hurtful part. But other than that,
it's the only hurtful part. Everything else looking good. I mean, we've been riding Seamus Power here for a few weeks, and Snyder's been all over him. I know Snyder's like top play this week. Dude is just on a whole nother level right now. He had like a 5-shot lead last time I checked. That may have changed, but he's just coasting way over the field on him. I think the whole Run Pure Sports community is. So, looking forward to, finishing out strong today, and then hopefully a nice weekend, and maybe our boy Tringali gets the guaranteed 3 rounds. Maybe you can turn around for us still.
Yeah, if there's an event I want my guy to like not be doing so great at, like two rounds, and it's this one, right? It's the one where I can at least, or the no cut, obviously, where you can turn it around, but we'll see if he can turn that thing around. JT, do you have any comments on the NBA trade machines going on in the NBA chat, or the big trade we had? Title said the last time there was a big trade hoop, Valanciunas and Eric Bledsoe in a deal. It's a big time deal, according to Title, as I'm joking right now about. But what's your guys' thoughts, Hoop? You go first. What do you think of the Norman Powell deal?
That was a classic RPS moment. I think we were on like a baseball show or something. The Title's just amped up for this NBA trade. We thought like it was a superstar getting moved, like James Harden, and he comes out and is like, Valanciunas for Steven Adams. Oh my gosh, that's so big. And I think it was me. Were you on the show with us?
It was Big T. You guys were in the back apparently before the show. I think it was pre-show. You guys.
Yeah, it was that's what it was. It was pre-show. This trade comes out, and like Title's like peeling to this trade like it was a massive move, and me and Big T rightfully pounded him. Same situation with this trade. I mean, who is actually improving from that trade? Like, I still don't get like anything. Like Norman Powell and Robert Covington are names. Like that's going to improve your team. I see nothing out of that trade. No, I'm sure Title's like super excited about though. But for me, it was
a salary dump for Portland, and then the Clippers are trying to find their way. I mean, when you sign Luke Kennard to like $60 million or whatever they did, they got to try and find other ways to keep Kawhi happy. So, JT, what did you think of the trade? Were you excited about the trade? Like possibly Title is. We don't know. Maybe he's in the chat and can.
Title is in the chat too. It makes it even better. Title's in there. He's trying to defend it. So he says it was a big trade for what we do. That's his justification.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, Title. It was a good moment though. I remember you.
It's something we can all look back and laugh about.
Well, JT, what do you got? You got any trade talks?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I was watching that Laker Clipper game last night. My goodness, I wanted to pull my eyes out. That was some very, very bad basketball. I don't think this does a lot. I think you see this team that Ty Lue has. I mean, I guess he's an improvement over Amir Coffey, even though he's been playing really well lately. For Portland, interesting impact, I think, for tonight's slate, because they get a game against the Thunder here. You have to believe some of those veterans, Nurkic and CJ McCollum, have to be a little bit discouraged by the movement of these guys. Portland essentially saying, hey, this season we're punting on it. So I think there's some interesting things to think about there in terms of this slate, in terms of who benefits. I mean, anytime a team gets Eric Bledsoe, you know that they're not exactly trying to do anything to get them in the win column. So like you said, salary dump. It'll be interesting to see what the impact is for DFS. Clippers still pretty messy in terms of their rotations. I don't think this is going to improve that at all.
Yep, and we obviously have a slate to talk about tonight, and Portland is on it. And we don't know how this will do for your boy Dame Lillard and what his future will be, but I don't know. Maybe will our boy Tony Snell be starting JT Hayes? That is the question. We'll have to save that for later, along with the Eiffel Tower play of the day. Which, hey, hit those likes. I will hit it right now. We're at 112 now, so be sure to hit that. That way we can give out those plays of the day as we get kind of further in the show. We'll pick the number, and then we'll go from there. So be sure to hit that like and hit it now. Don't wait. It depends how many people are watching. So just because you hit it, later doesn't mean it's going to change what the number is. So just hit it now, get it out the way so we don't have to tell you about it. But we got a basketball slate to talk about. It's a Friday night, and we got some news. This could be a crazy news slate, but I'm not sure where it's going to be. Curious to see what you guys think. Hoop, you got like an overview on this one? Is this going to be one of those like long nights? You got to tell the wife and kids they got to go out without you. What's kind of the plan of attack on this slate for you?
Yeah, not as bad as it's been in the past. I mean, the big news is pretty early, I think, with the Chicago situation, Levine, whether or not he's in or not. And I believe that is a 7 Eastern game, I'm pretty sure. So That's the biggest news on the slate. We already got that Harden ruled out. That's obviously pretty substantial as well. But as it stands, the biggest news is definitely LaVine. That's a 230 total. Chicago slate favorite there against the Pacers, who are playing no defense. That's the biggest piece, I guess, that we're kind of waiting on.
And Patrick Rice says no Robert Covington means Portland has literally zero defense. Well, they haven't had defense all year long. So
they're just a shitty team. And now they're, I guess, even more shitty.
Yeah, but maybe it's even better because Tony's in the lineup. Who knows? But here's the injury news we're really waiting on. Waiting on Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Goga and Brissett. That's kind of big news because that brings in Mr. Scary Terry, Taylor. He obviously has some really good opportunity there. Gordon Hayward's questionable. Lou Williams, John Collins, they're both questionable. And then you got the Utah guys against Brooklyn, Rudy Gay, Whiteside, Clarkson. And if you miss all those guys, man, that'll definitely be really good for them. And they're going up against the Brooklyn Nets, who don't have Harden. So that's obviously a big piece of news that we have today. Josh Hart, he is questionable. And then we got to figure out what's going to go on with the Portland situation. They do have Larry Nance, who's questionable and could be back. And then in one of the later games, it's a little Seth Curry revenge game in Dallas. So he is questionable. Maybe we'll find out how vengeful he is to see if he suits up. That'll be the tell for you. But let's dive in. Let's talk about this slate, and let's kick it off with the Bulls and the Pacers, the game with some of the biggest pieces of injury news. JT, I'm going to go over to you first. Your boy, and I don't know how to say his name. You said it last time. He was your play of the day, Mr. Ayo Dosunmu. I don't know how to say it, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. He is obviously going to be in play if these guys are out. DeMar DeRozan at 9.5, even though he's only power forward eligible, he's a pretty good option. And Mr. Vucevic, as you call him, JT, had a nice 64.5 last night, and now gets a Pacers team that could be trotting out a 6'5" guy. I mean, Vucevic will just be shooting over a chair. So what are you doing here with these Bulls, and what are you doing with the Pacers here in this spot with the Bulls on a back-to-back?
Yeah, I kind of tend to think at least one of these Bulls is going to sit. I kind of think LaVine sits. A game last night that went into overtime against the Raptors, a lot of heavy legs, and at the prices of Vucevic and at the prices of DeMar DeRozan, I just don't know if I want to go there on this slate. I'm trying to lock in on what the build is for this slate. And the build could be, you're going to play two of these 11 or 12K guys. When I say 11, DeJounte Murray is 10.5. So I don't know if I have interest in those Bulls. I think Kobe White is going to be interesting if Zach LaVine sits. He only played 20 minutes last night. It is a back-to-back, so I'd look for him to get a couple more minutes. And then on the Pacers side, you mentioned it, really big news. Terry Taylor had an amazing game last game out. Price did rise, but only to, I think it's $4,100 or $4,200 on DraftKings. So I think there's some guys in play there. There's guys in play for Indiana, just with how bad the Chicago defense has been over the course of the last 6 weeks, really. Guys that we don't really want to play. Justin Holiday is probably in play. Chris Duarte is in play. Taylor would be in play. And I think it's interesting. This news is going to come. It's going to come early, and it's going to help us decide what the build is.
Yep, definitely important news, and we should get that in time. We might even get it while we're on the show. I know we'll definitely get an update. And while we're on this show, we got, I think Sham said there's a little bit of an update. The Sixers are expected to pursue James Harden, and the Nets are open to discussing a deal. So that's a pretty big piece of news to watch over the next couple of days. I wouldn't be surprised if Harden's hamstring is acting up over the next couple of days and he's just not able to play. So that's something to monitor too, Hoop. If you played DFS for a while, Hoop, do you remember the J.R. Smith trade debacle where he got traded after lock? Like I still am like absolutely just mortified by when I rostered him and got the 0 for it. So are you worried about this time of year, all the trades that could be happening? And do you sometimes lean a bit on not playing guys because they're kind of in the trade rumors?
Well, I think a couple things. The news nowadays, just continues to get better. And, the beat writers are on top of most of this stuff. So you have a lot of the information ahead of time. And then the second thing to consider is these sites are doing a really good job with making things right. Like if you land in a situation where you played a guy and he gets traded after lock or something, like you said, happened with J.R. Smith, the sites for the most part will make you whole on that situation. So for me personally, I really don't put much stock into it. I just play the guys. But there are certain situations like guys that aren't going to be traded. Then maybe you put a little more on them this time of year.
Yeah, definitely something to think about a little bit. And obviously, we got to think about this news. How are you kind of planning to attack this one? Obviously, you'll update the cash chart with all the news that happens. But what are you doing here with this Bulls and Pacers news?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of news here. I mean, I'll start on the Pacers side, and it's kind of like the bigs in the NBA, how I kind of view this now. They're almost like running backs in NFL. Like if the main guy's injured, the backup comes in and does just as good as the starter. That's kind of what it's turning into in the NBA with these bigs. Like, so we get Isaiah Jackson. He comes in and absolutely crushes. Well, he gets hurt. Terry Taylor steps in and he crushes. So for whoever's in for these Pacers guys in terms of the bigs, I'm going to be on him tonight. This position just continues to get the job done, the backups, that is. So we're going to get the news at 7 p.m. Eastern. But if, Goga's out, I'll definitely be playing Taylor. I think he'll be one of the higher owned guys on the slate because it is a 7 p.m. Eastern game. You can just lock in that value and kind of move on. And then on the Bulls side, DeRozan, Vucevic, probably, fringe plays regardless of what happens with Levine, because we don't have a lot of spends on the slate. There's not a ton of guys to just go up to and jam in our lineup. So I think fringe plays regardless of Levine's status. But if Levine's out, then these guys become very strong options. DeRozan and Vooch, we talked about on the show the other day. DeRozan has been so steady it was yesterday, so steady in terms of production. I mean, he rarely is outside of 40 to 50 fantasy points. It's been like this all season long. 48 last night, played a ton of minutes. These guys are going to play a lot of minutes regardless. A big total here, 230. Chicago's favored by only 2 points. So we got a close spread, big total. It's what we want. Guys that are going to play a ton of minutes. So fringe plays, if Levine's in, but if Levine's out, very strong plays, then you can do look to some other guys, Somu or, however we pronounce his name. Kobe White potentially comes in play. We have to see who starts. We will get that news. And then on the Pacers side, it kind of depends on what happens with Goga here. And we will get this news as well because 7 p.m. Eastern game.
Yep, we'll definitely be getting all of that news. It's very important for this slate, and these are really good values to lock into for sure. I mean, you don't want to ignore them, no doubt. Even though there could be some other plays that pop up later on. JT, let's go over to talk about this next game. We got the Celtics and the Pistons, and I'm on some Celtics tonight. I got them at that 7.5. I even bet a money line with the Rams. I've been doing a nice little, bet every day. I put like 2 teams in. I put the Rams in every single time. So I have all these units waiting for Super Bowl Sunday to just ship. With the Rams, me and Hoop are going to take home our nice season-long bet, and then we're going to take home the money line one as well. And I got the Celtics in my money line bet. So Celtics, I need to take it home tonight against the Pistons on a back-to-back. What are you doing here with this game? Because it's one that you got the Pistons on that back-to-back, but they are missing guys. So do you want to mess with Dwayne Casey's rotations? And then do you want to mess with the Celtics that they just seem kind of healthy right now, JT?
Yeah, the Celtics are healthy, and honestly, they should smash the Pistons. Dwayne Casey, I think Dwayne Casey is under the impression that this is a lifelong rebuild because it seems like he has some pieces where he could at least be competitive on most nights, and he just chooses not to do that. He's playing everyone on the roster. It's absolutely ridiculous. Cade Cunningham is out, but there is so much other guard value that I would rather play the other guard value, the Trey Mans, the Brandon Goodwins, or if we're going to play a Terry Taylor, then I don't need to worry about if it's going to be Killian Hayes or Frank Johnson or Corey Joseph, who's going to get those minutes in what is probably a below average matchup for point guards anyway. I think Killian Hayes, being that he only played 19 or 20 minutes last night, would be my guy, but I don't think I'm going to go there. And then I think if you're playing cash, I think some of these Celtics are interesting. The price on Marcus Smart at 5.7 is still very, very low on DraftKings, but I think overall there are probably other plays on the slate where you can have a better feeling of confidence that they're going to get their full run. I think the Celtics are going to smash the Pistons.
Yeah, I agree with you. And JT, I wasn't going to do it, but because you said it, I'm going to say it. Because we got a team with a lifelong rebuild, we got a lifelong fan to talk about it. Mr. Hoop, our Detroit Pistons expert. Hoop, what are you doing here with this game? It's definitely one that I think it starts at 7 and we just stay away from because there's better spots on this slate. And there could be some better pieces of news later on when we get starting lineups with some other teams.
Yeah, huge fan. I mean, just every morning I wake up and just hope that this is the day that the Pistons go on a heater and make a run for the playoffs and everything turns around. But look at the box score from the night before, and Dwayne Casey just continues to play these donkeys. It's just, you have to carry on the hope. But it's tough. It's been a tough ride for us Pistons fans, but in all seriousness, no, not a Pistons fan. And they're going to get their asses kicked tonight. Cade Cunningham out. It's still hard because, Dwayne Casey, just who knows? I mean, Corey Joseph at 4-3, he's a fine play. I mean, he'll probably play 28 to 30 minutes, get you 20-some fantasy points. Is that enough? Maybe on the slate. I don't know. I think I agree with what JT said, though. I mean, probably prefer like Trey Mann over him at the same price, same position. Sadiq Bey had a big game last night, 32 minutes. But it's a tough spot against Boston. So probably just Corey Joseph here for me. And then on the Celtics side, not much interest here. I mean, we talk about it almost every day on the show when the Celtics are on the slate. Like when they're at full strength, they're just not a good team for fantasy purposes. Now you add in the increased blowout risk. I'll be fading the Celtics team. I do most DFS slates. And like I said, it's worked out well almost all season long. So I'm not really going to change anything.
Yeah, and the Celtics, I mean, I've been saying it every show, like they're playing great defense right now. They are not a team to target in DFS, and Celtics are crowded. I am just out on this game in general. I don't think we need to go to it. We can go over to the next one. We can talk about the Cavaliers and the Charlotte Hornets. We got a 217 total. We are waiting on the Gordon Hayward news. We also got some value still here, but Brandon Goodwin is now 4.1K, which, man, 4.1K. I mean, he was fine at 3K. 4.1K, it's a little bit tougher, but I think you could still make it happen. You could always see someone else start. It seems like they don't want to start Rondo, though, so I doubt it's going to happen. Evan Mobley, I think, is in play. Jared Allen at 7.9K. We see these big men absolutely demolish the Hornets all the time. And then if a Gordon Hayward sits, it's not the greatest matchup in the world for the Hornets against the Cavs, but they're going to be so shorthanded. You can make an argument for some of these guys. Like you make an argument for a Bridges, an Oubre at 5.2, a PJ Washington at 4.9, and even a LaMelo Ball at 9.6. The only issue is we know what the downside can be, and the coach can mess with those minutes. JT, what are you doing here with this Charlotte Hornets team and the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Just like you mentioned, the price on Goodwin did go up, but he's got a good game under his belt. This is a very good matchup for opposing point guards. So he played a ton of minutes. They're giving him an opportunity to play, and I think he's okay on this slate. I think you can look to Mobley or Allen, although, if you're playing them, you're going, I think, more of a mid-range build, and I don't know if that's where I'm going to end up here on this slate. Kevin Love has been playing really, really well. Price all the way up to 6.9, though, so I think it's kind of borderline of whether or not I look at him. And then on Charlotte, some of these prices have come up. LaMelo close to 10K, 9.6 on DraftKings now. I do like the price on Terry Rozier, 7.2 for tournaments. Just going to get a couple of shares of him. And then have to wait and see whether or not Oubre is going to be in or out. Really, not a ton of interest in this game, maybe one or two pieces.
Yeah, definitely not a game I'm loading up on, but a game I think you can't completely ignore. You got to at least consider some of these guys, and they feel like more last pieces and not building blocks to your lineups. We can move on over to the next game. Before we do that, guys, please hit that like, subscribe to the video. Helps us out a ton. We got 431 watching, 181 likes. You guys are doing a great job with that. Also want to talk about our guys over at SaberSim. We have a nice little deal going on for $150. Sign up now, get in on the Run Pure Sports package and the SaberSim. It's absolutely awesome. If you are not building, if you're building lives without a optimizer, you certainly can. I mean, it's not like you can't win, but I think it's helpful to do. I think you can hand build basically by using an optimizer as well, hand picking your lineup. So there's many ways to use the tool. Be sure to get in on that. And also don't forget, this weekend, we got tons of sports going on. We got MMA, we got NBA, college basketball, big slate tomorrow. There's a college basketball show starting up tonight with our guy, Stevie Boyton. On top of that, we're going to have some Showdown Pro Bowl stuff. I know Big T will be in those streets for sure. Hoop, what else am I missing? I mean, I know you'll be doing some MMA, I'm sure, tomorrow as well. Yeah. There's just so many sports. What other reasons there to sign up over?
Yeah, MMA, PGA Showdown. I mean, the Showdown stuff has been phenomenal. Snyder does a really good job. And I mean, honestly, I played a lot of DFS, and I really think the Showdown slates, there's a pretty decent edge in the full MME, and then even like a single entry. And we have you covered on all aspects of that. Snyder does a playbook for it. We have our core plays. We're in the Discord all the way up to lock answering questions. So Showdown PGA has been a phenomenal success. NASCAR starting up. We have our NASCAR team, which I think is industry leading. Coop, Matty Ice, our boy Mikey in there. They know the ins and outs of NASCAR like nobody else in the industry, and it's included in your package. A lot of these other sites charge you a big chunk of change for even a sport like NASCAR. Not here, same price. Every sport, it's a good time to get in. And like you said, pair it up with Sabres. I mean, even if you're not a person that builds, if you're not a 150 person, you can use it for a lot of different things. I mean, I use it when I'm three maxing just to see, even if I know I'm going to hand build, I still run it on the optimizer just to see if I'm missing anything or not. So a lot of benefits to using optimizer. Good time to join over here at Run Pure Sports.
Yep, check it all out. And a reference to my boy Mikey. So you love to see it. NASCAR is going to be coming back. I'm excited. I'll definitely be in the NASCAR streets, I'm sure. I know Hoop will be, Big T will. JT, do you mess with the NASCAR streets, or is that one you stay away from?
I haven't, but one price for every sport, and the fact that I can take advantage of their knowledge. I saw so many shippers in NASCAR last season. I might have to, and I think I will. I think I will get a little bit of NASCAR action.
Well, get some NASCAR action. I'm sure you'll run into K Fallick in that chat because he's doing everything he can to just avoid all the charts he can. So be sure to hit him with the @ in the chat. Be sure to DM him around 6:50 p.m. right before lock and ask him for the charts with as many Z's as you would like. Let's move on over to the next game. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks. We'll talk about the Toronto Raptors because Raptors, man, they just played yesterday and they were in an overtime game, and now they get the Hawks and somehow they're favorites. It does seem kind of crazy, but they're playing a pile of minutes and they just keep going. Nick Nurse will just pound these guys for as many as he can. Pascal Siakam, 9.2K, certainly has a ceiling still at that price. He showed it yesterday. Fred VanVleet, price has gone down to 8.6K, but on the opposite side, the defense won't be strong with Trae Young out there. So I think that there's some really good opportunity for those guys. Gary Trent Jr. yesterday, he cooled off a little, but I mean, still, you'll take 30 fantasy points, right? Hoop, it wasn't the end of the world with your play of the day. You take that. So I think these guys are still great plays, and they're playing the Hawks, who we're not scared of defensively. Let's go to you first, JT. What are you doing with this game? Because, I mean, I think there's a good opportunity to do some game stacking here. Like if you did a Fred VanVleet with like a Trae Young or like a Pascal Siakam with a Trae Young, I wouldn't tell you it's like a bad idea on this slate, and then mix and match some value plays.
Yeah, the Hawks have been playing very well. They've been playing very good defense. They've been playing a big rotation. The rotation has expanded considerably to where Collins, Capella, Gallinari, even Hunter last night, all 20 minutes. Now, big news today is Gallinari is out. Collins is questionable. Hunter's price all the way down to 4.2 in what is, as we saw yesterday with the Bulls, pretty good matchup for opposing forwards. Okongwu for the Hawks has been playing either equal or more minutes than Capella. It is back-to-back for them. So I think there's some value here with the Hawks that you can look at. I'll say it again, just as I feel about the Bulls, very concerned, even though it's Nick Nurse, about how many minutes these guys are actually going to get on the second night of a back-to-back coming after an overtime game. Even though Nick Nurse hasn't lived up to his words, he has been saying the last couple of weeks, I need to start looking at some of these guys' minutes. It actually wouldn't surprise me here to see one of these guys ruled out at the last minute, but we'll have to wait on that news. There's also, like I said, Collins questionable. I think DeAndre Hunter is probably one of my favorite plays from this game, and you can always look to the Raptors just because of their minutes, but they are priced up right now. So in terms of how much meat there is on the bone at their prices in this matchup where the Hawks have been very good defensively, I just don't know that I'm going to get to any of these Raptors.
Yeah, I'm torn at what to do with the Raptors here. If I get one of these spend ups, I'd be fine with it. And I do think there could be a chance one of these guys sits. I wouldn't be surprised if Nurse just said, okay, let me sit one of them and then I'll just run the rest of you to the ground. Would not surprise me at all. Hoop, we kind of jumped on the Trae Young train earlier in the season. He's played well the last two games. Is it time to jump back on the Trae Young train against this Raptors team with a nice little 217.5 total here?
Hawks are just a difficult team just because of the rotations, how many guys they're willing to play. Now, tonight could be a little bit different. We got Gallinari already listed as out, and then you have John Collins listed as questionable. I think the only way I go to Hawks tonight is if John Collins is eventually ruled out. And then, a guy like DeAndre Hunter, Trae Young, I'd have more interest in. But they've been a relatively unpredictable team for DFS purposes. We were able to ride them for a while, about a month ago. And then they started getting all their guys back, and it's become somewhat difficult to really trust them. But Trae Young's 9-9, not a building block type play today, a tournament play. And if I'm playing Trae Young, I want to pair him with one of these Raptors guys and hope this game stays close, which Vegas thinks it does. It's only a 3-point spread here. On the Toronto side, I mean, to me, how I've been treating Toronto players, just like last guy in type plays, like last night, I built my team out. Siakam fit. I'm like, all right, I'm fine. I'm going to roll Siakam. Obviously, it worked out. He had a massive game. You get the overtime as well. But I think that's just a good way to treat Toronto on most slates, most of these full type slates. There's 9 games here. They're going to get a lot of minutes. As long as no one's ruled out, Nurse can say whatever he wants. He continues just to play these guys a shit ton of minutes, regardless of back-to-back, 4 games and 7 nights, whatever it may be. He just plays them. The guy's so competitive. He wants to win. The team's playing better now. So as long as they're in, I think they're going to continue to play a lot of minutes. Van Vliet, 8-6, Siakam, 9-2. Gary Trent did cool off a little bit, and we talked about it yesterday. I had him as the play of the day, said he was 6.1K. Even if he gets you 30, you're not dead, and that's basically exactly what he did. He's 6.1K. He got us 29.25 fantasy points. That's fine. You're good. You're good with that at 6K. Your lineups aren't completely done, but I'll continue to use the Toronto guys as last guys in. If I'm prioritizing Trae Young, I want some Toronto guys though on the other side, and hope we get a competitive game and get a back and forth. John Collins news though is big here.
If I agree with you there, Hoop. And one more thing, I skipped you on the Hornets and Cavs game. So Dakota's keeping us up to speed. Maybe it's because you have no interest in it. I'm not sure. What do you do with that game, though? Because I think some Cavs are in play, but it is tough. They feel like last guy's in kind of for me. Yeah.
And then Gordon Hayward was ruled in, so he's going to play. So that takes away most of the interest for me on the Hornets. I didn't have much. If he was ruled out, then maybe I'd look at a few guys, but no interest really in the Hornets. On the Cavs side, I will continue to play Goodwin. 4.1K, I think, is still too cheap. He's playing, going to play 30 minutes in a competitive game. Pretty good at kind of contributing across the board. He'll knock down threes, so he's good for DraftKings scoring. Chetty Osman coming off the downer game. I think a lot of people might go away from him. Still played 36 minutes, though. That's big, 36 minutes. So I'll be back on Chetty as well. And then Kevin Love, I think, is a really good tournament on it. If Kevin Love's going to continue to play 30 minutes off the bench, that's huge because he's playing with these backup guys. He's going to have all the usage in the world. And you look at it, the last 2 games, 15 shots and 20 shots, 40 fantasy points, 45 fantasy points. Yeah, 6'9" seems like a lot for Kevin Love, but his role right now is actually really good. 30 minutes off the bench with the scrubs. He's going to get whatever he wants out there. So I do like Love tonight as well.
Yeah, and Hoop, I might walk off the show right now and just join K Fallick and become his intern because he said, I will try to get something together soon. He's insanely busy. He's slammed and he really needs to focus on getting his work done. I need to get in the water industry, I think. I think I'm with you. I think my time at Run Pure Sports might be over. I think I'm joining K Fallick.
Career change. We can just start printing with K Fallick, work up to 5 o'clock, 5:30. We'll be done for the day. Put the white T-shirt on and just chill for the evening.
Yeah, that seems like it. JT, are you buying K Fallick right now? Or is he in other chats like the soccer chat, hanging out and having a good time?
Well, I think that's why he's struggling at 5:20 on a Friday to finish his work is because he spends all day in the various chats. I mean, you got to ask K Fallick, hey, how many fucking hands do you have? I mean, he's typing. I mean, every single chat. I think he's in chats, multiple chats at one time. I don't know what's going on with him, but he'll be back. I'm sure he'll be back the hour before lock to give everyone the plays that everyone didn't think of, which is what he does. He likes to do that about 10 minutes before lock, come in and say, I can't believe anyone is playing X player. And you kind of roll your eyes, but you know what? A lot of the time he's right. So I'm sure he'll be in there to broaden our horizons.
Yeah, and maybe he'll be there like 30 minutes before to give us a nice Spurs chart in the next game. We got the Spurs and the Rockets here, and the Spurs, they're getting a little healthier, but they are missing some guys. And DeJounte Murray gets the Rockets, and Murray has had some really good games against the Rockets so far. JT, let's go back over to you. Talk about Murray and White, because those are two guys I think you want to be looking at today. And then can you actually spend that price tag on a Jakob Poeltl at 7.3K? What are you doing here with the Spurs?
It's interesting because of the pricing. Murray at 10.5, White at 6.4. When these other guys are in, I very rarely play White, especially at these prices. The ceiling is just too low. Poeltl at 7.3, it's a great matchup, but am I going to pay that, or am I going to try and get up a little bit at center? I think they're fine plays. On the side of Houston, the one thing that stands out to me for this Houston team is the ownership that I'm seeing on Jalen Green. It looks like, at least as of before news hits, he was projected to be one of the more popular plays on this slate. He's coming off a huge game, very volatile player. Price is still very nice. Honestly, would not surprise me if it wasn't Jalen Green and it was Eric Gordon tonight who had a big game. So I don't know that I'm going to be playing chalk Jalen Green here. I don't know that he's a guy on this slate that should be 40% owned. I think in tournaments, definitely going to try and have some DeJounte Murray. The price, though, 10.5. If this game goes the way some of these Spurs Rockets games have gone, he may not be on the court in the fourth quarter. You know that Popovich is going to look to rest his stars if the game is not within 8 to 10 points one way or the other. And we'll see. I think there are some other plays, some of the other higher priced guys, I think, are guys that I'll be prioritizing over Murray tonight.
And it is the second night of a back-to-back. And later on, we got Kyrie Irving, and it's just going to be him with the ball in his hands against this Utah Jazz team that I am not scared of. So there are definitely tons of studs that you can pay for, especially in that Blazers game as well. So we'll get to that and talk about it. But Hoop, talk to me about the Spurs and the Rockets here. Is this a game that you're going to be putting, a lot of your teams on, or are you going to kind of like wait for some other games or play some of the earlier ones instead?
The Rockets are always, a tough team really for DFS. But that being said, there's some cheap price tags on this team. And if this game does stay close, we're looking at a game with a 238 point total, which we don't see a lot in the NBA this day and age. So I definitely want some Rockets, especially if you're building multiple lineups tonight. If you're building, 20 lineups or 150, I think you want some exposure to the Rockets guys. And for me, it's probably going to be the cheaper guys. It's going to be Jalen Green. It's going to be Eric Gordon, who's down to one of his lowest price tags at 4.3K on DraftKings. Maybe a little bit Jae'Sean Tate. He's had some big games this season. So I'll be more focused on these cheap guys for the Rockets, but definitely if you're building out 150 teams tonight, you want some exposure to even the Rockets. Like I said, a 238 total, that's big. On the Spurs side, no Lonnie Walker for them, and that doesn't seem big, but he was playing a good chunk of minutes. They get Murray back tonight. They get Poeltl back tonight. I do want some exposure to Murray just for the reason I kind of mentioned with the Rockets guys. If this game stays close, the 238 total, I think Murray can just absolutely torch this slate in a close game here. They're only favored by 7, so it's not like a certainty that this game is going to blow out. A little more interest in Derek White, I think. I mean, these guys all played limited minutes last night because of the blowout. Keldon Johnson's price did come up a little bit, not as much interest in him. Poeltl, I have a thing for Poeltl, could potentially be a problem, but I love Jakob Poeltl. 7.3 is an uncomfortable price tag, but I do want exposure to him. And then Vassell, 4.4K, I think he benefits a ton with Lonnie Walker out. I think he could see, 30 minutes tonight. So there's a lot to like here. This game is really contingent, though, on it staying close. If it stays close, I think we see, 3 or 4 Rockets guys go off and pay off their price tag, and the same on the Spurs side. So love this game, want to get a lot of exposure. I don't think we're looking at anyone highly owned, to be honest. I don't think anyone in this game is going to be at a point in ownership where we have to avoid it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this game shakes out ownership-wise, because I do think it's a good one to go to. But, price tags are good, but you can also have guys sometimes that can be frustrating to roster, but the ceilings are definitely there. Let's move on over to the next game. Let's talk about this Pelicans and Nuggets game.
Hang on. Before we move on, though, that's one of the things that I brought up to Hoop. I want your opinion on this. Jalen Green is projecting to be, and these numbers are wrong because we don't have news, somewhere in the 40% own range on DraftKings. At least that's Saber Sim's projection. And that's why I was talking about him versus Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon hasn't done anything lately, but that's when I kind of like to play guys like him because he's only going to pop off once every 3 weeks. So I just think it's an interesting point there in terms of ownership at that price point. I think he's going to be highly owned because of what he did last game.
Yeah, well,
I
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't think that number can be right. I can't imagine Jalen Green being that highly owned. I'm guessing they'll probably do an update at some point.
Yeah.
I really don't think he'll be 40% on. What do you think, Mango?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that high owned, but like if we don't, it depends what value we get. If we don't get a lot of value, he'll definitely like get some ownership. And if he got some, I understand what JT's saying. He's just saying, listen, like this is Jalen Green. This is not, Andre Drummond at 3.7. So I think I understand what you're saying, JT. I think it depends. Yeah. Obviously, if I think Jalen Green, like his ownership goes down, that makes me like less like likely to want to get on an Eric Gordon. Because the whole point of it is like kind of the leverage it, I think. Does that make sense, JT? Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like everyone or at those price points, like no one's going to play, very few people are going to play Eric Gordon. I'm not saying Eric Gordon's a great player, right? But we've seen in these matchups, as Hoop said, when he gets to this price point, I think it's worth the risk versus the 40% guy who's shown to be very volatile because this team is fully healthy.
No, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Definitely agree with what you're saying there. Let's move on over, though, to the Pelicans and the Nuggets game. This is a game where Jokic is always an interesting spend-up option, always someone that you can go to. But will we have, like, the right values to do it today? I mean, he is 12.4K. He's in that center spot as well. Hoop, going over to you. I mean, we just got some value. Goga's out, so we're going to keep getting some more here. But is Jokic going to be a center that you go to on this slate? And then what are you doing with the Pelicans on the opposite side with Josh Hart questionable?
Terry Taylor season, you got to be excited over there. The nice thing about him, the power forward, Brissett's
Brissett's available, but that's
still, I think Taylor's got to be a strong play.
I wouldn't be shocked too if they start Taylor and then Brissett comes off the bench because he's coming back from injury.
Yeah, that's my guess. But nice power forward eligible too, not just center. So in terms of the Nuggets, Jokic, I mean, highest projected raw points guy tonight. Like if we get a ton of value and you can get to Jokic, sure. I don't think he's necessarily like a priority for me tonight. Probably the only guy really on the Nuggets that I have interest in, maybe a little bit of interest in Will Barton. And then the Pelican side, pretty easy. I mean, they're basically at full strength. I think all their guys are back tonight. Just pulling this up. Yeah, besides Josh Hart, who is questionable. Temple's out. That doesn't really change. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really going to play the Pelicans tonight. We have a lot of much better spots. They're trending towards being full health. So off the Pelicans, definitely Jokic, and then Barton, but not a ton of interest really in this game overall.
Yeah, and we have great spots that we haven't even talked about yet that we'll obviously get to here. JT, what are you doing here with this game? It's not one that I think I'm going to get too much exposure to. It just feels like Jokic or bust for me. How about you?
Yeah, I think if Hart is out, I have a mild interest in Ingram at 8-2. This Nuggets team defensively has just been awful recently. And then the other guy here that looks like he had an interesting price dip is Monty Morris at 4.9K on DraftKings, but not gonna be overweight on those guys, just including them in the pool.
All right, Hoop, before we kind of move on to this next game, so we got 482 watching, 221 likes. The people have done well. What's the number we got to get to here to get the likes at?
Good start. Actually really impressive start. And you know what? We went from 220 to 221 because I hadn't hit the like button yet. Shame on me, right? So, let's go. Let's do it this way. We'll say just 250. I mean, 30 more. But if you get to 300, I'll give 2 plays.
Ooh. Oh, there we go. Hoop's got 2 in the chamber. Hopefully no one steals it. JT, if they get 300, are you going to do something? Are you going to take your shirt off? I mean, what's going to happen? You got anything you're going to tell the people?
Yeah, I think that's first of all, I gotta say that is exactly what we should be doing here, rewarding the people for excellent behavior. They started off, we already had like 10 likes before we even started this show. I went in to put my like in and I'm like, hey, we're already off to a good start. So the people get rewarded with a lower floor, just 250. We're almost there. We're 247, probably going to hit it by the time I'm finished talking.
Right there.
And I think we should give 2 plays if we get to 300. I would say this, Hoop's going to give 2 if we get to 300. If we get to 325, I'll give 2. And if we get to 350, Mangone, you should give 2.
I like it. I think that's a great call. Let's go with that. And
then when we get to 400, that's when the clothes start coming off.
Yeah. Then we'll see what happens. Then I don't know if I would start with my shirt though. I might just start with the pants.
Tune into the premium show. Maybe K Falik takes that crisp white shirt off. You never know. So.
Ooh, that's real nice.
So we got news. Zach LaVine ruled out. Kobe White, he is questionable. So
that's actually big too. If he were to miss,
yeah, that'd be huge if he missed for sure. We'll obviously wait to see what happens with that. Obviously, we'll update all of the content with that. And JSU, BigT, all of them know, lead you up the lock and give you that information and help you out with that. Let's go on over to the next game. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets. Let's talk about the Utah Jazz. We got a 230.5 total, and it is Kyrie Irving season. He is going to definitely be someone that I will have exposure to today. I think this is a good spot for Patty Mills. And don't look now, Nick Claxton had a massive game the other day, had 51.75 fantasy points, and he's normally good with Harden. Problem is there's no Harden today. So Hoop, let's go to you first. How are you handling these Nets? Because I think they're really good plays. And then on the flip side, we got news that we're waiting on with this Jazz team. We got Whiteside. He is questionable for this game. And we got a bunch of other guys. So what do you want to do here with this Utah Jazz and the Nets game?
Yeah, I mean, on the Nets side, it's pretty clear. I mean, Kyrie Irving's a great play without James Harden and without Kevin Durant. He's 10-3. He's looked good since returning. Coming off a stinker last game out, but I think he bounces back in a big way here. And like you alluded to early on, not afraid of this Jazz team like we were in the past. So definitely Kyrie Irving, a very strong option. Now after him, it's where it gets interesting because you can make a case for like a lot of different guys. Patty Mills, interesting play at 5'6". Kessler Edwards, I do like at 4.2K. Nick Claxton, was that last game where he kind of went off? Yeah, went off for 52 fantasy points. Have a lot of options here. The one problem with Claxton, though, is it's a typical problem on DK where center is a loaded position. Might be hard to play. Now, Vucevic gets the big boost too with LaVine out. So center is loaded again tonight. But yeah, there's, Kyrie is going to, have a good game tonight. Then after him, there's probably 2 or 3 other Nets guys that'll have big games too. Mills, Edwards, Claxton, all guys I want exposure to. 9 p.m. Eastern start times. I don't know if we probably won't have the starters at 7 Eastern. On the Jazz side, somewhat contingent here, I guess, on the injury stuff. Jordan Clarkson's questionable. Hassan Whiteside's questionable. Rudy Gay's questionable. If Clarkson's out, I'd have a little more interest in Donovan Mitchell, especially if you're going to be heavy on the Nets, playing him at 8-4. Mike Conley's just a tough DFS roster. I mean, do I think he gets like 30 to 35 fantasy points? Yeah, sure. Is that enough on the slate at 7K? Probably not. If Whiteside were to be ruled out, who do we go to? This Udoka guy? I mean, he played 22 minutes. What is he? He's 3.4K. Yeah, he'd be a fine option, but I just don't know, if we can build our lineups waiting on the Jazz news tonight. I probably won't. Long story short, it's Kyrie for sure. If you're doing the full 150 tonight, you're going to want a few other Nets guys because, you're probably looking at 3 or 4 guys having big games tonight. Donovan Mitchell, I'd like even more if Clarkson's out, but it's hard to really break down the Jazz without this injury news.
Yeah, and if you look at this game, Claxton, the one thing to mention is they're like missing some of those big men. They're missing Aldridge and Millsaps. They're a little shorter there, where I think it helps Claxton's minutes a little bit. I agree with a lot of what you said with some of these Jazz guys, and I think another issue with Mr. Udoka Azubuike, or however you say his name, maybe JT can clarify for the people, but he's center eligible, and like there's the next 2 games, we got a couple centers that I definitely will talk about that we have to like. So it's just center seems too loaded, where I doubt I would go that if the news hit that way. You could even see them go small ball a little bit with like Rudy Gay and like Eric Pascal. So there's a lot that could happen in this game that could be valuable. Even about Bogdanovich, he's someone else at 6.5K. we've seen him hit a nice ceiling. His usage has been solid. He struggled a little bit last game, but I could see him bounce back here. So a lot to like in this game. JT, do you like Patty Mills? Do you like Kyrie? Is he going to be like your spend up, or maybe you like some of these Bulls spend ups over Kyrie now? What are you doing here with this game, JT Hayes?
Yeah, I think Kyrie at 10-3 is a decision point, even without Harden on the road against Utah. I like Mills's price. I agree with Hoop that we need to wait on the news for Utah here, which is a little frustrating with how bad the Nets have been defensively. You could see some of these guys having really big games, but they are all priced up, at least on DraftKings. Conley, 7K. 8.4 is a good price for Mitchell. Whiteside, 6.4. And then the Claxton game did kind of come out of nowhere just because he was playing 16 to 18 minutes. Steve Nash has been playing matchup-based basketball with these guys, and that was a back-to-back. So Claxton gets all the minutes on the back-to-back. I don't know what's going to happen here. I know that Blake Griffin has been a guy who's been getting a lot of minutes, especially when on island games like this one is, first game of back-to-back, etc. So I think the Nets are also a little bit difficult. I think that, yes, you could play Patty Mills. I think I might have some shares of Kyrie Irving. Other than that, I think, maybe Blake Griffin just because he's 3-6 on DraftKings, and I don't think anyone's going to play him. And it's a matchup where maybe he gets 30 minutes. So it's dusty, but in a bunch of lineups, I'll have just a few.
All right, let's move on over to the next game. Let's talk about that Oklahoma City Thunder and the Portland Trailblazers, where Tony Snell, he will be in the starting lineup possibly tonight. And because they made some trades, they got rid of Robert Covington, they got rid of Norman Powell, and Yusuf Nurkic is a center option that cannot be ignored on this slate. Definitely going to be someone that I am looking at roster tonight. Also like an Anthony Simons. One reason they said they made this trade, they said the emergence of Anthony Simons is one reason they did it, because they feel like he's a bigger piece now for their team in the future. Yeah, CJ McCollum at 8.3K, which feels like a hefty tag, but it's a lot of usage to go around. And yes, I am not someone that likes to back the Portland Trailblazers often, but they are playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I do think that Portland is live to be competitive and in this game, and they're at home where they played a little bit better. And then on that flip side, we got no Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, where Josh Giddey, last two games, 36.5, 40.25. The usage has been there. He's had a lot of touches. I mean, 7.7K for Josh Giddey. It feels expensive, but I think we can get away with it. And then Lou Dort at 6.4. I don't hate him also. I mean, if you look at the game log, Soup, I mean, he's been pretty good. The usage has been solid. Whenever he's in this secondary ball handler role, it seems like he pops up a bit. So, Hoop, break it down for me. What do you want to do with this Thunder and Portland game?
Yeah, I mean, this game to me is just so clear with the plays. Like Josh Giddey, I think is a great play at 7.7. Lou Dort, like you said, is playing really solid with SGA out at 6.4 on DK. I think he's fine play. And then Trey Mann, 42 minutes or 41 minutes last time out. I think he's a play. On the Trailblazer side, really like Anthony Simons, good price tag on DK at 6.6. And like you said, part of the reasons they made these moves is to free up Simons, who looks legit. CJ McCollum, I think, is going a little overlooked today. I think most people, if they're going to Portland, they're going to play Simons and Nurkic and not CJ. I love CJ at 8.3. It's kind of not the best price on him. I think he could absolutely go off in this spot here for the Trailblazers. So like CJ and then Nurkic, very strong play too at 8.2. So I think we have 6 really good plays. Giddey, Mann, Dort on the Thunder side, and then Simons, McCollum, Nurkic, like I said, very strong options tonight. So I'm going to get exposure to all those guys. Cash games, tournaments, most of them are viable there.
All right, JT, let's go on over to you. Is this a game you're going to load up on here? I mean, your boy Tony Snell is in this spot. No Damian Lillard, but lots of options. I think this is a really good game to get exposure to. How about you, JT?
Yeah, I got to take umbrage here with one of the guys in chat, and I hate to do that. I really do. You guys know how much I love our chat. But Bins21 says Tony Snell is hot garbage in August. And I don't even know what to say. I don't know. Should I educate him about the pureness of Tony Snell's shot, about the ridiculous 3-point percentage? Should I educate him about the Portland Trailblazers have been using him all season long as a decoy for other teams, letting Tony Snell take over the double coverage to open up the other guys on the team, I'm not even going to waste my time. I think this is a great game. I agree with Hoop's breakdown completely. I don't have much more to add to it except for the fact that Nance is questionable. Even if Nance plays, I don't know that he's going to get full run with how much time he's missed. CJ Ellaby is min price. If Nance is ruled out, the last time that Ellaby played when there was no Little and no Covington, I think he went for 30 some odd DraftKings points. So Ellaby at min price is interesting here. A little bit less interest if Nance is playing, but I do think that that he can get involved and have a good game, and that's it. I really have nothing over the top of what Hoop said.
All right, JT, so we got a couple things going on in the chat. One thing I want to mention is our boy K Falik. He hit me with the ad. He said, okay. And he hits me with the ad. He goes, just got done with these projects. So sounds like the water stuff is all taken care of. He says he's been working on it all day. Maybe he didn't even take his lunch. I don't know what K Falik was up to. Maybe he ate lunch through the projects, but what can he help us with? So JT, I think this is the time. I am saying that we have members go into the Discord chat, they at KFallic, and they say, I want X charts with as many Z's as they want. And then KFallic provides the charts. Is that a good request?
Yeah, I definitely think that, first of all, if you haven't been in the Discord when KFallic is in there, he loves the engagement, the back and forth, the attention, the love, the support from our members. Now's the time to give it to him. Now until 7 o'clock. All the love, all the support, all the ads, all the DMs, and do it now. In fact, everybody for the next 5 minutes at KFallic in the NBA Discord, no matter what you're saying, just add him. Let's blow up those notifications, make him feel wholesome and full on a Friday night.
Yes, you'll love to see it. And I hit the at everyone to let at KFallic know what charts they want. So now's the time. The floor is yours. KFallic is done with work. So we got one last game to go to, and we're doing great on the likes, guys. I mean, 518, 313. You know what that means? That means we're getting 2 plays from Hoop. 325 means you get 2 plays from JT, and then 2 plays from me. I don't know if you'll be able to build a full lineup with it. We're basically giving you a core, possibly, if you get the 350 likes. So guys, hit the like. We appreciate it. We only got one more game left here. Let's talk about that Sixers, and let's talk about that Dallas Mavericks game, where I like this game a lot. I mean, I love doing the Luka and Joel Embiid stack up and then mix in some value plays. I think it's a great way to go on this slate. We obviously need to get the news on Seth Curry. That could be really important. And it is a Seth Curry revenge game, so that is valuable. Hoop, let's go on over to you. What do you want to do with this one? Because I think these are some really good options here at the top.
Yeah, I mean, Embiid and Embiid and Luka, you can always kind of make the case for. This is a low-ish type total, 210. I think if I'm in this range, the Embiid range, the Luka range, I'm probably going to Jokic. So I think I prefer him over those guys. Going to be hard to play multiple guys in that range tonight. So probably prefer those two. Maxi Kleber is a value. I think is okay, 4.4K. Played 42 minutes last game, 38 fantasy points. He's been pretty steady. I mean, over 28 fantasy points in 3 out of his last 4 games. I think he's interesting at 4.4. On the 76ers side, you talked about Seth Curry's 5-1, played 40 minutes last game. I think he's okay. To me, just a bunch of okay plays. I'm not overly thrilled with anything. The guy that I'm probably most likely to play from this game would be Maxey. Problem is, though, on DK, he's center eligible. I like a lot of other centers over him. So be pretty low on this game, to be honest.
All right. And JT, also, when you add KFallic for the next 5 minutes, don't forget his burner account as well, right? You got to throw in that one as well, the at KFallic burner account. Make sure they're both added about the charts because they're both helping out with that. But JT, break this one down for me, because this is a game to like. I think these studs are really good options. And if Seth Curry is out, Tyrese Maxey, I think he's a really good play. He feels overpriced at 7.6K, but I think you could argue he should be 8K or even 8.2K. He's just been playing so great. If Curry's out, I think Maxey is a really good low-end plan. Another option you can use on that like late slate as well that maybe people still don't go to.
And we might not know if Curry is in until very late. So I think he'll be low own. And I think he's a decent play here. Maxey, there's still some injuries here with Korkmaz out. There's obviously you've got Porzingis and Hardaway who are still out for the Mavs. So I think this is an interesting game. Just a 1.5 total in Dallas. And I like Joel Embiid a lot. I think that this is a spot where he's been playing really well. He gets to go up against another of the game's superstars. And I really don't see a way that Dwight Powell or Maxi Kleber or Josh Green or whoever they throw at him is going to slow him down. So I think this is a really good spot for him when people are going to look. If they're looking to pay up, they're going to go to Jokic. So I like that quite a bit. I kind of agree that there are only a couple of plays in this game, but I do think that they are plays that could possibly smash here.
All right. And JT, we got one guy in the Discord chat, the Don27. He asked if you're serious about Tony Snell. So can you address that real quick? And then we'll move on to those plays, which we're at 337. So you guys both have to give 2 plays. And if we get 13 more, then I'll have to give 2 as well.
Yeah. I guess what I would say, Don, is you weren't with us last season, and I'm not going to hold that against you. But last season, there may have been a time or two where one of my core plays was Tony Snell. And one of the times he did absolutely nothing. It was hurtful. He was a decoy, like I said. That's sometimes what he does. Another time there were enough injuries that he absolutely smashed. So we got a little bit of love for Tony Snell. I would not play him on this slate. There are probably not a lot of slates in 2022 that I would play him, but he has a special spot in my heart.
Well, there's one slate you might play him, and it could be tonight. What about the Showdown slate?
Late slate? Yeah, maybe.
Could be a last piece fill. Could be a captain slot to help you get everything and smash on the slate. You just never know. But man, we're getting there on the like. So I'm going to make sure I go last just because to see if we get that 350 number. Hoop, I heard if you're ready for 2 plays. I don't know if I'm ready for 2 plays either. This was off the cuff. We got all this news coming too. What do we got here, Hoop? Who are your 2 rich parents plays of the day?
Yeah, the chat just getting the job done, and it's good mojo going into the weekend. Like I said, a lot of big DFS things going on tonight, tomorrow, Sunday. So good mojo heading into the weekend. So thank you to the chat for getting it done. All right, a lot of pressure here. The first rich parents play of the day is going to be CJ McCollum, 8.3K on DK. I think Simons gets good ownership, rightfully so. Nurkic is going to get a lot of ownership, rightfully so. I think CJ comes in a little lower than those guys. Got big upsides. So give me CJ McCollum as the first rich parents play of the day. The second one, I am going to the San Antonio Spurs. We said Lonnie Walker's out. Give me Devin Vassell. I think he gets run in a close game. I think he gets a lot of run in a blowout as well. 4.4K. Definitely can get hot from 3, rack up a lot of those bonus DK points. So the 2 rich parents plays of the day, CJ McCollum, Devin Vassell. Let's get it done.
All right, JT, let's go on over to you. Who do you got? Who's the Eiffel Tower plays of the day?
Yeah, first of all, 352. I love to see that. You're going to get to give out 2 plays. I got to thank both the YouTube chat and the Discord for giving me just tremendous joy. There's nothing like saying add somebody for the next 5 minutes and just seeing the screen light up with at, knowing that K Falik is going to have a great Friday night, that you have made his night. So actually that's what makes me even happier, that you've made K Falik's night. My first play of the day, I've talked about him a little bit. I'm seeing ownership on Joel Embiid at 6%. He has been absolutely phenomenal in games that have been close, in games that have been competitive. He has put the Sixers on his back. He's the spend up that people aren't going to go to. I don't think there's anybody in the Dallas front court that can stop him. I do think that this is a game where he shows up and Philly shows up big time. He wants that recognition. He wants to show that he's among the best in the league. I think he's going to be the highest scoring player on the slate. You can book that. Joel Embiid is going to be Eiffel Tower play of the day 1. Number 2, we're going to take a risk. I talked about it. You've got Jalen Green going to be somewhere in the neighborhood, probably not 40% with the news. Let's say he's 15, 20%. Eric Gordon is going to be 3%. He's at his lowest price point of the season. When he's gotten down to these price points after he's done nothing, he's smashed. He does have that 35 to 40 point upside on DraftKings. I'm going to have Eric Gordon and Joel Embiid in most of my lineups tonight. Those are the two Eiffel Tower plays of the day.
All right. I'm gonna go with one. He's in the mid tier, kind of spend up, but I like it. And it's from one of these later games. Josh Giddey, he gets the Portland matchup where I was told no Robert Covington means no defense for Portland. So we are good to go for Josh Giddey. There will be no defense played for them, no doubt in my mind. So I really like Josh Giddey. And then I'm going to give you a guy as a run back on the opposite side. Do you know what we do? We like to target the Oklahoma City Thunder with big men, and Yusuf Nurkic at 8-2. People might not go there because center's just loaded. I mean, it's just impossible for any of these centers to have like 50 or even like 40% ownership because there's so many good ones on this slate. So give me a nice little stack of Josh Giddey and Yusuf Nurkic as two of my plays of the day. JT, as you're laughing over there, I don't know if K Fallis getting added even more, but give me your final thoughts before we get on out of here.
No, what's going on is K Fallick has simply left his browser open and he's using one of his extra hands to just type and nothing's coming out. So the people are getting excited that some message is coming from K Fallick. I can't wait to see it. As soon as I get off, I'm going to jump into Discord, but I think it's a great slate. I think it's a good slate. There's enough value. We talked a little bit about Brandon Goodwin versus Trey Mann. I kind of now lean Trey Mann over Brandon Goodwin. I think because it's a late game, he'll be a little bit lower owned. And I do like in some of my builds, I'm going to have Luka and Joel Embiid, and then some of the value. I think that's a good construction for tonight's slate.
All right. Well, K Fallick typed something in the chat. We'll have to see what he says. You got to sign up for Run Pure Sports to check it out. So be sure to get in the Discord chat. Be sure to check out the Up the Lock show coming up next where you have Big T, JSU. They will be breaking it all down for you guys, but that's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks a lot for joining. For me, Mangone Hoop and JT Hayes, we will see you guys later.